Hello again, this is Milton City Councilman Matt Kunz from District 2 doing another Milton City Council meeting recap. And again, these thoughts are my own. I don't speak on behalf of everybody on the council. But what did we talk about tonight? We talked about Matilda's round 2, and we talked about passing our 2020 budget. So real quick on those items. So Matilda's, if you remember, June 18th of last year, our meeting ended at 2:45 a.m. And that allowed for, June of 2018, our meeting ended at 2:45 a.m. and we passed the Matilda's venue, but they couldn't leave Alpharetta because of their legal requirements until the end of 2018. So they finally came to Milton in 2019 and began their concert series then based on what we passed in June of 2018. So what has transpired? So basically, as they were doing some things, our staff found some conditions that brought them back before us for a zoning modification, and in doing that, the applicants made some additional requests that might make the venue even better on their mind. So at that time, what our current zoning code, especially on a noise decibel level, was 75 continuous decibels around peak at around a couple different property points in the area. So what we really had to decide tonight is if some of the additional items that the applicant requested should be passed, and whether or not the noise levels should remain the same where they were. So heard a lot of people from neighboring neighborhoods who they didn't really want to shut down Matilda's, but they did complain about some aspects of the noise. So what I had heard is that about 50% of the time the noise was great. They didn't have any problems with it, but another 50% of the time they actually heard the music inside their walls. And so in looking at that, we did schedule a 6-month review when we passed the ordinance the first time around. So after a full season, we wanted to do a review. That was the intent, and that was my intent as we went through it. So as it came before us tonight, the real question was, should we wait for the overall review at the end of the 6 months, or is this going to give us an opportunity to make things better? For me personally, I won't speak on behalf of anybody else, but if we could change the noise aspect tonight, I'd be willing to take a step in that direction, and with the zoning requirement that was brought before us. And so what happened was, as a council, we went with staff recommendations, which did not give them everything. Basically, they did get the restroom facility, they were allowed the utility easements, they were allowed to park additional parking spaces from 200 patrons up to 250 patrons, with of course 2 special use permits required per season. And then the last thing, though, of course, was, they wanted to keep the current fence that they have there. We actually said, no, you got to put that back to where our current code is because of site variance. It's a safety issue that has to be done. So, but then the real issue was noise. And so looking at it with 75 continuous decibels around a couple different points of it, we decided to make it 70 continuous decibels all the way around the property, with the intent to still do that review at the end of the season in November. So the idea then is if we make the improvement on the sound issue now, we can continue to try to take incremental steps to get this venue right as best we can. So we didn't leave it as it was. The applicant did say they were going to make modifications to how the sound was angled, how it was presented, and put some barriers as well that might be able to inhibit some of the sound that goes into the Bream Ridge subdivision, which those are the ones that are primarily affected. So that's step 1. Step 2, we had a budget amendment. I did vote for the new budget in 2020, even though we did have a tax fight earlier. My main argument there was that we can get revenue from additional sources. I think the sales tax from local option sales tax will still be more. We can use the green space bond funds to continue to add to park improvements. Those were things I thought we could do rather than raising taxes. I lost the fight on raising taxes. The budget approval, as far as it goes, was well put together by staff. I couldn't argue specific items on that, but so we passed that as a council as well. So that's almost it. Last thing is my alma mater. Many of you know, I was a walk-on football player at the University of Notre Dame, and Notre Dame went to play Georgia in Athens, and I was there. I didn't go to the game, but I was in Athens walking around. The hospitality was fantastic. The Georgia fans were great. And so everybody was very kind. It was a great atmosphere. For those of you that saw it, I was very appreciative of the fact that everybody just enjoyed having a great spirited contest, and it wound up being a great game. Wish our team would have won. My team would have won, but didn't happen. Anyway, that's the way it goes. Again, if you have any questions, this is Matt Kunz signing off. You can reach me at MattKunz59 on Twitter or Facebook.com/MattKunzGOV. And as always, thank you for being the best part of Milton, and I appreciate your support. Take care.